Hello, listening squirrels. We can say Merry Christmas now. Even though it's not quite December, it'll be here before we know it. And we're going to read from a collection of short stories, still with Louisa May Alcott, and this is just called Merry Christmas. In the rush of early morning, when the red burns through the gray, and the wintry world lies waiting for the glory of the day, then we hear a fitful rustling just without, upon the stair, see two small white phantoms coming, catch the gleam of sunny hair. Are they Christmas fairies stealing rows of little socks to fill? Are they angels floating hither with their message of goodwill? What sweet spell are these elves weaving, as like larks they chirp and sing? Are these palms of peace from heaven that these lovely spirits bring? Rosy feet upon the threshold, eager faces peeping through, with the first red ray of sunshine, chanting cherubs come in view. Mistletoe and gleaming holly, symbols of a blessed day, in their chubby hands they carry, streaming all along the way. Well, we know them, never weary of this innocent surprise, waiting, watching, listening always, with full hearts and tender eyes, while our little household angels, white and golden in the sun, greet us with the sweet old welcome. Merry Christmas, everyone. That was all for that little poem. I haven't quite got this lighting figured out here. It's really washing me out, but it doesn't matter, just so you can hear. I can't wait till that gets decorated. I hate a blank space. I miss my bricks, but I love this. Let's put it over this way a little more. Move that back a little more. Still washed out it. See what happens if I move it over here. Still washed out. Sorry while I play. If it's getting worse or better. Sorry. Oh well. I'll play with it when I'm not on. This is called A Christmas Dream and How It Came True. I'm so tired of Christmas, I wish there never would be another one, exclaimed a discontented-looking little girl as she sat idly watching her mother arrange a pile of gifts 2 days before they were to be given. Why, Effie, what a dreadful thing to say. You're as bad as old Scrooge, and I'm afraid something will happen to you, as it did to him if you don't care for dear Christmas, answered Mama, almost dropping the silver horn she was filling with delicious candies. Who was Scrooge? What happened to him? Asked Effie with a glimmer of interest in her listless face, as she picked out the sourest lemon drop she could find, for nothing sweet suited her just then. He was one of Dickens's best people, and you can read the charming story someday. My favorite Dickens book. And it's in my playlist too. He hated Christmas until a strange dream showed him how dear and beautiful it was and made a better man of him. I shall read it, for I like dreams and have a great many curious ones myself, but they don't keep me from being tired of Christmas. Sure is strange for a child to be tired of Christmas, right? Here we go. He hated Christmas until a stranger. I shall read it, for I like dreams and have a great many curious ones myself, but they don't keep me from, I just said that. But from being tired of Christmas, said Effie, poking discontentedly among the sweeties for something worth eating. Why are you tired of what should be the happiest time of all the year? Asked Mama anxiously. Perhaps I shouldn't be if I had something new. It's always the same, and there isn't any more surprise about it. I always find heaps of goodies in my stocking. Don't like some of them, and soon get tired of those I do like. We always have a great dinner, and I eat too much and feel ill next day. And then there's a Christmas tree somewhere with a doll on top, or a stupid old Santa Claus, and children dancing and screaming over bonbons, and toys that break, and shiny things that are of no use. Really, Mama, I've had so many Christmases all alike that I don't think I can bear another one. And Effie laid herself flat on the sofa as if the mere idea was too much for her. How old was she again? I was thinking they said 12, but I don't remember. It didn't say. Nope, didn't say. Her mother laughed at her despair, but was sorry to see her little girl so discontented, when she had everything to make her happy and had known but 10 Christmas days. There we go, she's 10. Well, maybe didn't remember, but... Suppose we don't give you any presents at all. How would that suit you? Asked Mama, anxious to please her spoiled child. I should like one large and splendid one, and one dear little one, to remember some very nice person by, said Effie, who was a fanciful little body, full of odd whims and notions which her friends loved to gratify, regardless of time, trouble, or money, for she was the last of 3 little girls and very dear to all the family. Well, my darling, I will see what I can do to please you and not say a word until all is ready. If I could only get a new idea to start with. And Mama went on tying up her pretty bundles with a thoughtful face while Effie strolled to the window to watch the rain that kept her indoors and made her dismal. Seems to me poor children have better times than rich ones. I can't go out, and there's a girl about my age splashing along without any maid to fuss about rubbers and cloaks and umbrellas and colds. I wish I was a beggar girl. Would you like to be hungry, cold, and ragged, to beg all day and sleep on an ash heap at night? Asked Mama, wondering what would come next. Cinderella did, and had a nice time in the inn. This girl out here has a basket of scraps on her arm and a big old shawl all around her, and doesn't seem to care a bit. Though the water runs out of the toes of her boots, she goes paddling along, laughing at the rain, and eating a cold potato as if it tasted nicer than the chicken and ice cream I had for dinner. Yes, I do think poor children are happier than rich ones. So do I sometimes. At the orphan asylum today I saw 24 merry little souls who have no parents, no home, and no hope of Christmas beyond a stick of candy or cake. I wish you'd been there to see how happy they were playing with the old toys some richer children had sent them. You may give them all mine. I'm so tired of them I never want to see them again, said Effie, turning from the window to the pretty baby house full of everything a child's heart could desire. I will, and let you begin again with something you will not tire of, if I can only find it. And Mama knit her brows, trying to discover some grand surprise for this child who didn't care for Christmas. Nothing more was said then, and wandering off to the library, Effie found A Christmas Carol. and curling herself up in the sofa corner, read it all before tea. Some of it she didn't understand, but she laughed and cried over many parts of the charming story and felt better without knowing why. All the evening she thought of poor Tiny Tim, Mrs. Cratchit with the pudding, and the stout old gentleman who danced so gaily that his legs twinkled in the air. Presently bedtime arrived. "Come now and toast your feet," said Effie's nurse, "while I do your pretty hair and tell stories." "I'll have a fairy tale tonight, a very interesting one," commanded Effie as she put on her blue silk wrapper and little fur-lined slippers to sit before the fire and have her long curls brushed. So Nursey told her best tales, and when at last the child lay down under her lace curtains, her head was full of a curious jumble of Christmas elves, poor children, snowstorms, sugar plums, and surprises. So it's no wonder that she dreamed all night, and this was the dream which she never quite forgot. She found herself sitting on a stone in the middle of a great field, all alone. The snow was falling fast, a bitter wind whistled by, and night was coming on. She felt hungry, cold, and tired, and did not know where to go nor what to do. "I wanted to be a beggar girl, and now I am one, but I don't like it, and wish somebody would come and take care of me. I don't know who I am, and I think I must be lost," thought Effie, with the curious interest one takes in oneself in dreams. But the more she thought about it, the more bewildered she felt. Faster fell the snow, colder blew the wind, darker grew the night, and poor Effie made up her mind that she was quite forgotten and left to freeze alone. The tears were chilled on her cheeks. Her feet felt like icicles, and her heart died within her, so hungry, frightened, and forlorn was she. Laying her head on her knees, she gave herself up for lost and sat there, with the great flakes fast turning her to a little white mound, when suddenly the sound of music reached her, and starting up, she looked and listened with all her eyes and ears. Far away a dim light shone, and a voice was heard singing. She tried to run toward the welcome glimmer, but couldn't stir, and stood like a small statue of expectation while the light grew nearer, and the sweet words of the song grew clearer. "From our happy home, through the world we roam, 1 week in all the year, making winter spring with the joy we bring, for Christmastide is here. Now the Easter star," is this the same poem we read earlier? I'll have to go back and look. I can't remember. "Now the eastern star shines from afar to light the poorest home. Hearts warmer grow, gifts freely flow, for Christmastide has come. Now gay trees rise before young eyes, abloom with tempting cheer. Blithe voices sing and blithe bells ring, for Christmastide is here. O happy chime, O blessed time, that draws us all so near. Welcome, dear day, all creatures say, for Christmastide is here." Sounds like it. A child's voice sang, a child's hand carried the little candle, and in the circle of soft light it shed, Effie saw a pretty child coming to her through the night and snow. A rosy, smiling creature wrapped up in white fur, with a wreath of green and scarlet holly on its shining hair, the magic candle in one hand, and the other outstretched as if to shower gifts and warmly press all other hands. Effie forgot to speak as this bright vision came nearer, leaving no trace of footsteps in the snow, only lighting the way with its little candle, and filling the air with the music of its song. "Dear child, you're lost, and I've come to find you," said the stranger, taking Effie's cold hands in his with a smile like sunshine, while every holly berry glowed like a little fire. "Do you know me?" asked Effie, feeling no fear but a great gladness at his coming. "I know all children and go to find them, for this is my holiday, and I gather them from all parts of the world to be merry with me once a year." "Are you an angel?" asked Effie, looking for the wings. "No, I'm a Christmas spirit and live with my mates in a pleasant place, getting ready for a holiday when we are let out to roam about the world, helping make this a happy time for all who will let us in. Will you come and see how we work?" "I'll go anywhere with you. Don't leave me again," cried Effie gladly. "First, I'll make you comfortable. That is what we love to do. You're cold, and you shall be warm. Hungry, and I will feed you. Sorrowful, and I will make you gay." With a wave of his candle, all three miracles were wrought, for the snowflakes turned to a white fur cloak and hood on Effie's head and shoulders. A bowl of hot soup came sailing to her lips and vanished when she had eagerly drunk the last drop. And suddenly the dismal field changed to a new world so full of wonders that all her troubles were forgotten in a minute. Bells were ringing so merrily that it was hard to keep from dancing. Green garlands hung on the walls, and every tree was a Christmas tree full of toys and blazing with candles that never went out. In one place, many little spirits sewed like mad on warm clothes, turning out work faster than any sewing machine ever invented, and great piles were made ready to be sent to poor people. Other busy creatures packed money into purses and wrote checks, which they sent flying away on the wind. A lovely kind of snowstorm to fall into a world below full of poverty. Older and graver spirits were looking over piles of little books in which the records of the past year were kept, telling how different people had spent it and what sort of gifts they deserved. Some got peace, some disappointment, some remorse and sorrow, some great joy and hope. The rich had generous thoughts sent them, the poor gratitude and contentment. Children had more love and duty to parents, and parents renewed patience, wisdom, and satisfaction for and in their children. No one was forgotten. "Please tell me what splendid place this is," asked Effie as soon as she could collect her wits after the first look at all these astonishing things. "This is the Christmas world, and here we all work all the year round, never tiring of getting ready for the happy day. See, these are the saints just setting off, for some have far to go, and the children must not be disappointed." As he spoke, the spirit pointed to 4 gates, out of which 4 great sleighs were just driving, laden with toys, while a jolly old Santa Claus sat in the middle of each, drawing on his mittens and tucking up his wraps for a long cold drive. "Why, I thought there was only one Santa Claus, and even he was a humbug," cried Effie, astonished at the sight. "Never give up your faith in the sweet old stones, even after you come to see that they are only the pleasant shadow of a lovely truth." Just then the sleighs went off with a great jingling of bells. Where's my bell? Jingling of bells and pattering of reindeer hooves, while all the spirits gave a cheer that was heard in the lower world, where people said, "Hear the stars sing." "I never will say there isn't any Santa Claus again. Now show me more. You'll like to see this place, I think, and may learn something here, perhaps." The spirit smiled as he led the way to a little door through which Effie peeped into a world of dolls. Baby houses were in full blast, with dolls of all sorts going on like live people. Waxen ladies sat in their parlors, elegantly dressed. Nurses walked out with bits of dollies, and the streets were full of tin soldiers marching, wooden horses prancing, express wagons rumbling, and little men hurrying to and fro. Shops were there, and tiny people buying legs of mutton, pounds of tea, mites of clothing, and everything dolls use or wear or want. But presently she saw that in some ways the dolls improved upon the manners and customs of human beings. Boy, I wish I'd brought my drinking. And she watched eagerly to learn why they did these things. A fine Paris doll driving in her carriage took up a worsted Dinah who was hobbling along with a basket of clean clothes, and carried her to her journey's end as if it were the proper thing to do. Another interesting China lady took off her comfortable red cloak and put it round a poor wooden creature done up in a paper shift, and so badly painted that its face would have sent some babies into fits. Seems to me I once knew a rich girl who didn't give her things to poor girls. I wish I could remember who she was and tell her to be as kind as that China doll, said Effie, much touched at the sweet way the pretty creature wrapped up the poor fright, and then ran off in her little gray gown to buy a shiny fowl stuck on a wooden platter for her invalid mother's dinner. We recall these things to people's minds by dreams. I think the girl you speak of won't forget this one. And the spirit smiled as if he enjoyed some joke which she didn't see. A little bell rang as she looked, and away scampered the children into the red and green schoolhouse with a roof that lifted up so one could see how nicely they sat at their desk with mites of books, or drew on the inch-square blackboards with crumbs of chalk. They know their lessons very well and are as still as mice. We make a great racket at our school and get bad marks every day. I shall tell the girls they had better mind what they do, or the dolls will be better scholars than they are, said Effie, much impressed as she peeped in and saw no rod in the hand of the little mistress, who looked up and shook her head at the intruder as if begging her to go away before the order of the school was disturbed. Effie retired at once, but could not resist one look in at the window of a fine mansion, where the family were at dinner. The children behaved so well at table, and never grumbled a bit when their mamma said they could not have any more fruit. Now, show me something else, she said as they came again to the low door that led out of Dollland. You've seen how we prepare for Christmas. Let me show where we love best to send our good and happy gifts, answered the spirit, giving her his hand again. I know I've seen ever so many, began Effie, thinking of her own Christmases. No, you've never seen what I will show you. Come away and remember what you see tonight. Like a flash, that bright world vanished, and Effie found herself in a part of the city she'd never seen before. It was far away from the gayer places where every store was brilliant with lights and full of pretty things, and every house wore a festival air, while people hurried to and fro with merry greetings. It was down among the dingy streets where the poor lived, and where there was no making ready for Christmas. Hungry women looked in at the shabby shops, longing to buy meat and bread. But empty pockets forbade. Tipsy men drank up their wages in the bar rooms, and in many cold, dark chambers little children huddled under the thin blankets, trying to forget their misery and sleep. No nice dinners filled the air with savory smells. No gay trees dropped toys and bonbons into eager hands. No little stockings hung in rows beside the chimney piece, ready to be filled. No happy sounds of music, gay voices, and dancing feet were heard, and there were no signs of Christmas anywhere. "Don't they have any in this place?" asked Effie, shivering as if she held fast the spirit's hand, following where he led her. "We come to bring it. Let me show you our best workers." And the spirit pointed to some sweet-faced men and women who came stealing into the poor houses, working such beautiful miracles that Effie could only stand and watch. Some slipped money into the empty pockets and sent the happy mothers to buy all the comforts they needed. Others led the drunken men out of temptation and took them home to find safer pleasures there. Fires were kindled on cold hearths. Tables spread as if by magic, and warm clothes wrapped around shivering limbs. Flowers suddenly bloomed in the chambers of the sick. Old people found themselves remembered. Sad hearts were consoled by a tender word, and wicked ones softened by the story of Him who forgave all sin. See how much more there is. I might have to stop. One, two, three, four. It's not a whole bunch, but more than I want to read tonight. You got about 27 minutes or so. So I like this little story. Hope you guys do. And have a great crafty night. See you tomorrow, I hope. Love you. Be sweet, don't be ugly. Bye-bye.